John, Jaden Laverde, 6 goals in the VFL on the weekend. One, how good is it to kind of see him get a bag in the VFL, and two, is he a chance to make his debut?
Yeah, well, on both counts, it's a positive. Yeah, he's a big chance to come into the side, obviously, on that form. That was his third game back. He kicked 3 goals, 3 I think the previous week. So he's looking really solid. It's credit to the program he ran while he was injured to be out for that long and come in and impact so quickly. But yeah, we've had Josh Begley sort of available and ready to go on the verge the last number of weeks as well. So he's one we'll definitely look at, and Langford, Howlett have all been good performances as well.
Just on Jaden, I mean, how frustrating has it been for him to be kind of sitting on the sidelines for most of the half the year, and have you been having to kind of counsel him to kind of, you know, keep him patient?
Yeah, he's been outstanding. From the time he got his injury and knew what his program was, he mapped out what it looked like to be back and what shape he wanted to be back in when he came back. And he's just put his head down and followed that program. So there's really been no frustration from him. It's all been really positive about being able to perform like he has.
There's not really a like-for-like replacement for Josh, though. How does that change the mix of the forwards?
Well, yeah, I think they are like-for-like. You know, Begley, even Laverde, in the role that he can play the same sort of role that that Green's been playing. So comfortable that any of those guys, I talked about Howlett as well, can play a very similar role.
Job straight back this week?
Yeah, Job's feeling really good, so he'll be straight in. Yep.
Seems to be a bit of a debate whether he remains in your best 22. How do you see it?
Yeah, I haven't heard that debate. It hasn't been debated at our match committee. He's an outstanding performer, and I think our best team has him in it for sure.
He says that he's going to talk to you before he plays on or decides to play on next year. How do you feel about that role, and what do you think about 2018?
Yeah, look, I think that decision will be made either post-season. So once our season's finished, probably within 2 weeks, I would sit down and get really clear with Job about what he wants to do. But I don't necessarily think he needs to make a decision the day after the last game. I'd like him to really reflect on what he got out of the year, how his body feels, and what he can potentially add to us next year. And while he's doing that, us as our list management will be having a look at where we're heading as well, and then we can make that call.
What have you made of his year so far? He's obviously had to deal with aspects of his body, but he's getting on top of it a little.
Yeah, no, I think he's been a solid contributor. He's had a couple of quiet games where he hasn't been at the level we remember him, but generally he's been a really solid performer for us.
Speak to anyone at North Melbourne, and Essendon is their biggest rival. Do you expect them to lift a bit this week on what they've produced in recent weeks?
Yeah, I don't know. I think North and Brad Scott would be saying we shouldn't be aiming to lift for particular games, but I would hope that we face an opposition that is going to test us in every aspect of the way we want to play. That's what's going to make us a better team.
Some sides this year have performed outstanding one week and fallen away. Do you worry about getting the consistency into your side in the lead up to potentially a finals tilt?
Yeah, well, if we're not consistent, then the finals will take care of themselves. We won't be there. So our aim, and it's not a worry, but our focus is on building consistency and challenging ourselves to play, you know, at the more elite level and have less drop off to our different performances week on week.
Is there any sort of focus on, you know, avoiding that banana skin? I mean, you lost to the Blues and you've lost to Brisbane, and you know this is a game you're going heavy favourites to. So, do you put any sort of focus on that?
Absolute heavy focus on how well we want to play. Yeah, you know we know the style of footy we want to play, and we've let ourselves down when we haven't committed to that to each other. The Carlton game was a little bit different because it was just a game underwater, but the Brisbane game we definitely went away from the way we wanted to play.
So do you see maybe your guys have a bit of a risk in terms of a match like they go into should winning? The potential of that is perhaps a little bit greater than another match where they go in as, you know, maybe a Sydney game or something else where they're kind of underdogs.
Yeah, we're talking about mental games. So what we're trying to build is a team that just focuses on how we want to perform and how we want to go out and play. And where our opposition sits on the ladder really should have no impact. Well, it will have no impact on what we expect from each other.
you feel like the players are playing on edge though, given they know that any step up from now on in can be very, very costly?
We're not really talking about that either. We're talking about if we play our best footy and we're good enough, we can make the finals. If we play our best footy and that's not good enough to win those games, then yeah, we're not a top 8 team. So we want to find out where we sit, and at the moment we're not in the 8. And to get in the 8, we've got to perform at that level.
Did the nature of the St Kilda win, the fact that you really blew them away, that lift the joint?
It was certainly an enjoyable win, but it hasn't taken away from the fact that how well we train today is going to impact on how well we perform this week. So we're a pretty positive group. We're really enjoying the challenges that this year's throwing up. We don't need wins for us to enjoy those challenges.
How do you manage the likes of Brent Stanton, Heath Hocking, Ben Howard? 3 guys have been through a lot over the last few years but are stuck in the VFL.
Yeah, I just try and keep communicating to them and letting them know where they sit in terms of possible selection and the roles that we see them playing within the team. So constantly talking to those guys and getting feedback from them about how they're tracking and how they're feeling about their footy. But they are extremely important for us. If we want to maximise our potential this year, we need those guys playing well every week.
And just on the VFL, Francis has been playing really well. Is he banging on the door? Is he getting close?
Yeah, he is, but he's in a queue. There's about 8 of them banging on my door at the moment. So it's an outstanding position to be in, and having guys like Langford and the other guys I've mentioned, but Francis in such good form is going to help us be the best team we can be.
John, you've seen plenty of good first-year performances. How do you rate McGrath so far compared to what you've seen in the past?
I wouldn't sort of compare them because everyone's they play different roles, but his athletic capabilities, so his speed and power has been outstanding. His composure when he wins the footy has been really pleasing to see as well. And there's so much upside in terms of the way he plays, but you just see the grounding or the way he started, and knowing that he's only going to get better from here means we expect him to be a top line player.